Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea, or heck, if it's Trevor, beer with American Scouser. I got the coffee going. I'm back to being the greatest dad. Took a couple of days off. I'm back. And with us is Trevor. Trevor, what do we got this morning? Still drinking the same beer?
I'm staying sober this morning. Got water.
Man, it's like beer or water is like a high. Okay.
Yeah. No middle ground.
Well, this will make you drink some beer. There's a bunch of headlines to get to. And then obviously most of them are related to yesterday's games. So we'll definitely touch up on those and then take a sneak peek. And then we'll be back for pre-match once the lineups come out today as well. Alan is with us as always. Good morning, Alan. So if you have not heard, I might be breaking some news right here. You never know. But you heard it here first on American Scouser that Mbappe is coming to Liverpool. So I don't know, it's a bold reporter that pops the news out and says, "Oh man, Tuesday," and then they're like, "Yeah, let's just say Mbappe is going back to Liverpool." He's not happy. He wasn't smiling. This is the bullshit they used to pull with Mane all the time. It's like he didn't smile after the goal and stuff. Or Mbappe was promised certain things, he's not getting it, so his agent says, "Hey, go give him a scare." And we come with the rumors that he's coming to Liverpool. First of all, what do you say about the rumor? Then we'll talk about if he would even want it or not.
Well, I'll talk about what I feel about it and then what I would want. And it's the simplest way I can put it is complete bullshit. I don't think anything of it at all. It's something that I really think is just putting out there, as you said, to try to just stir the pot and get some probably unfulfilled promises fulfilled by PSG and the ownership group. I really don't think if he had a distinct desire to leave that he'd go about it in this fashion right ahead of the World Cup with his team still in the Champions League. Like if PSG had lost their first 3 games and were like dead in the water, I could see him throwing a hissy fit like this just because these past couple of years have shown real, I don't want to say character flaws, but character distinctions. I'm trying to not be super disparaging.
Oh, I'm sure he's sleeping.
Somebody that has a lot of money.
He's not watching. He's probably sleeping in. Don't worry.
I know. I'm always just trying to be looking out for my own well-being every once in a while. But it's one of those things where if he could come here and they would make it work, yes, I would want it 100%. But it's total lies in my head. And you know what? FSG, prove me wrong in January. Make me eat my words that I'm saying it's complete bullshit. Come on, do it.
That reverse psychology bullshit doesn't work with FSG. I mean, okay, so let's get to the second part because Alan was saying that, he'd be a disruptive influence. I think he'd be a disruptive influence in any club. I mean, not only like for Klopp. I think the dude has made himself to be that disruptive. And, this is a perfect example of how disruptive he can be, number one. And yeah, if she's going to be splashing around all kinds of money like that, I think I rather have him go get somebody like Bellingham than Mbappe anyway. I mean, we're saying, hey, we're probably out of the Bellingham talk due to the price tag. I mean, this guy is probably, they gave him, I was saying on Facebook yesterday, they gave him a couple of, suburbs in Paris, half the club and all kinds of shit. And the dude is still not happy. I guess the question is, more than likely there were, apart from all the scrap he got for the contract extension, he was promised certain other things and they're not happening, or they're not happening as fast as he wants. I would love to know what those things are. Is he like rolling out there? It's like a fucking Messi still here. I thought he was going to be gone. Or, what is the deal that I wonder, like he didn't get, or he didn't get fast enough?
Yeah. And that's all we can do is wildly speculate at this point, because there was so many bullet points in that contract that were let out that were just crazy in terms of he's basically the sporting director for the most part. It's he gets he gets more say than the manager on signings and moves that are made throughout the academy to the top team. And you're sitting there just going, how can you get this? How are you getting basically 1 million a week? You have a small stake in the club, and you've been given for yourself and your family every single amenity known to man by this ownership group, and you're like pissed that you're playing on the wing. Like, is that really what it's all about? You're not getting enough opportunities to just shine. I just don't get it. I really don't get it at all.
I don't know if it's like he's watching Haaland. He's like, see, I should be in the middle too. I'd be the talk. Like, he's not the talk right now. Let's face it, Haaland is the talk right now. So I don't know if that's something that is like, that's why I should be playing in the middle. You know, I read somewhere that he wants to play with an like off of like an actual number 9 as a striker, like, you know, like a 2 attack system, blah blah blah, which is not us either. So that's the thing. I don't know if he is. But at the same time, I mean, kind of like, you know, Alan is quoting over here, like Roth, and you know, that's the thing. It's who's buying this, like, and not to mention, you know, if I'm the owners, I'd be like, you know what, fuck off, then. Like, we gave you everything, damn it. Like, you're still not happy, then, dude, you gotta have to go because there's nothing else to give. I can't give you my share of the club. You already have a share of the club. You have like the city or whatever. I mean, just. If you're not still happy, not much they can do. So it's almost like him kind of like, I don't know if it's like bluffing. He's just more like wants to be the attention. Or, of course, this could all be, you know, newspapers trying to make news. His mom loves Liverpool and all that kind of crap. It's just, yeah, it's just odd. And, you know, how people are running away with it is more scary to me than the rumor itself. I mean, you look online, everybody's got like, you know, half the people got a hard on. There's another like group of people kind of like us who are like, what are you, nuts? And they were like, you never know, you got to keep praying. I mean, I'm not even praying. Are you praying? Like, oh, it doesn't, I hope it happens, kind of thing. Because I really don't want to, dude. At this point, maybe a year ago, if you asked me, I'd be all over this. I'd be maybe.
When it was talked about last year, I was kind of gung ho about it when he was on the brink of leaving, and there was the talks of Madrid and even some of these clubs in the Middle East were ready to just basically sell off oil reserves to get him, kind of like put their stuff on the map, kind of what China was doing a few years back when they were bringing in a lot of big names. There was a lot of just talk about making this guy the centerpiece of a league, and oh, great, he'll go there and score 100 goals and no one will care. That's fantastic. But as it stands right now, if it happened, cool. I'd be on board with it. I'd have enough faith in Klopp as a manager to at least try his best to get him happy. I don't have any other more eloquent ways to put it, but I really have no care in the world about what he does otherwise. If he goes somewhere else, or if he stays, or if he just, I don't know, goes and becomes like an Instagram influencer, I just don't care.
I don't know, like if this happens suddenly, I'd be more watching to see when it will fall apart than, you know, be enthused about how it's going to turn out. So I'd be more like, when is this going to go to shit? Because you know, there's going to be like
they drew again with Benfica, so that was
yes, and that's another thing. Like, you know, let's see what they do in the Champions League. But like, he's clearly not happy. He basically, I mean, he's sporting director, so he wants to get rid of some people. He wants to get his own people, like a general manager. He wants to get his own people in there and stuff. And, you know, like, you know who I love to play with? This guy. I mean, I can just see him watching the World Cup, you know, like he's at the World Cup over there. He's like, you know what? That guy is good. I should get him. It's just, yeah, I don't know. When you give a player that much power, I mean, we see this more and more, especially in the U.S. sports, we see it a lot, right? Where the player does become a bit bigger than the city in some ways. And not big on it because I don't think, you know, especially in like soccer, one guy is not, you're not a quarterback. You're not, I mean, like there's some things, and I think, or like in basketball over in NBA, there's only 5 dudes. So one dude is very more important than, one dude out of 11. But yeah, I mean, would he be a great player? Would we be like, holy shit, look at what he just did? Probably. But at the same time, I'd be more waiting to see when it's going to fall apart than anything else. Another headline, I did see this. Forrest sacked their head of recruitment and head scouts after like they spent all this money. So let's see now. I mean, so this guy was getting, or have they been watching American Scouser and saying, holy shit, they got all these guys, they signed to go on an extension and they're pretty much like almost like dead last. Or they're like, well, because somebody's got to take the fucking hit for this. We just signed this guy to an extension, so I guess we fire this guy. Are they telling me like the manager did not know that these guys were coming? Like he opened the door. They're like, who are all these guys? Like 22 guys walking in?
This, I think it's just somebody that there had to have been some backlash of the fan base itself seemed to want to keep Cooper, and then somebody, because if you're ownership and you're seeing your team giving up goals for fun, you can't get out of your own way, but they don't want to sack the manager. All right, somebody, you can't get rid of all 22 guys that you brought in, so somebody has to take the hit, and these 2 guys, we'll see how if Forrest can keep themselves up. I don't have the highest of hopes, but
I don't either.
It's one of those things where you needed a fall guy, and they got 2.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. They found the guy. They were like, well, somebody has to go. Who signed these contracts for us? Yeah, you got to go, man, because we're keeping the manager. And I think, that's the odd part. Like I say, I mean, there has to be some communication, right? Or did it come out that the manager was like, I didn't ask for all these guys. I asked for 6 these guys, and he couldn't give me those 6. He was like, well, I'll just get you a bunch of people and you can use whatever you want, and which is what they did. And that's the problem, I think. We always talked about, like when we were talking in the Premier League show in the preseason, we always talked about teams that come from Championship to the Premier League. Which route will they go? Will they try to keep as much as they can who brought them there, add a couple of pieces and see if they can stick around, or do an overhaul because now they're in the big leagues kind of thing, and which pays off, which doesn't? And they went full-blown overhaul routes, and I don't know if it's going to pay or not. So let's get to the Champions League. Yesterday's games, there was a lot of shockers that shocked my parlay. What is like, I mean, take your pick. Which one is the one that you were like, what the?
Well, you're talking about ones that had a direct effect on you. I'm going to go with one. I didn't have a parlay, but I brought in a Sergio Gomez into my Champions League fantasy team, and he was sent off in the first half of City against Copenhagen, and that ended up a draw. I think even with 10 men, I would have expected City to at least force them to try to score, to give them a chance on a counter or something like that, or just overwhelm them with pressure. But former and I have to look at his name because I don't want to butcher it, Camille Grabara, former Reds youth team member, kept City out. So good for him. Good job. But I think the big thing of that was that also Holland was sat, and it seemed that Pep didn't even tell him that he was going to sit, which was, hey,
is he on loan over there, or did we sell him over there?
Oh, we sold him.
We did sell him, right? Okay. For a second, I thought he was on loan because I remember his name because when I saw him, I was like, man, that sounds awfully familiar. It's that dude. And, it's that dude. I think the biggest shocker, and right off the bat, nothing like starting a parlay, and then the first one, it's like Juventus.
Maccabi Haifa.
Go, yeah. I mean, it's huge for Haifa. We have like Barak, who actually writes the corner taking quickly after, like, as post matches on our website as well. I mean, that's his hometown, that's his home club. So he was just beside himself. They were just him and boys, and this scored. it was just like a love fest as I was reading. And I've been there, done that, like in terms of like it's a very big deal for these smaller clubs, even to score a goal against somebody, that has probably 10 times their budget or whatever. And, the attraction they have in terms of like players they can get. So even that is a big deal. And their run over here where they can almost qualify for the next round if they get like one or two more good scores is huge. And those guys were, they were just gushing. They were just gushing. And I don't blame them. PSG won, Benfica won, Zagreb and Salzburg. Is Timo Werner can only play at Salzburg? Leipzig, by the way, they beat Celtic 2-0. And he looks more like the old guy that we were after at one point before he came to Chelsea.
Maybe it's something in the water over there, I guess. He's a different guy. There's nothing and as I try to keep myself under the old "you'll never walk alone" umbrella when I'm watching games in the Champions League that aren't Liverpool, and like Celtic and Dortmund were the two teams that I was following pretty intently yesterday, and that Celtic held on for as long as they could, and then just Leipzig, you knew that the dam was going to crack. And
yes. And I mean, like I say, like it just shows, like if your mind is clear or if you're happy with your situation, it just affects your game because he looks like a total different dude than the one over here. A lot more confidence, and it kind of shows in his play.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's amazing what happiness can do to a person.
Yeah,
it's almost as if your mental health can help affect how you do your job.
It's like a totally different dude. It's amazing. Dortmund won, Sevilla won. You said you were following that one. I think I always say this, maybe because I do shit parlays, but when you do a parlay and you get everything wrong, there should be like a compensation prize of some sort. You're like, you know what? You really did. You got like the opposite parlay, dude. Good job, and at least give your money back or something like that. But I mean, I know Sevilla got that early. Sevilla got that early goal that Dortmund couldn't really fully get out of. But what do you say about that one? I mean, I thought Dortmund was going to win that one easily, especially the way they won away.
But I think we saw some of the Sevilla we all know and love after Bellingham got the equalizer. I think it was like 9 or 10 minutes before halftime. Sevilla just turned it into a street fight, and they really just were not letting Dortmund get any chances. Yeah, everybody talked about and Alan put it in there, the hit on Rudiger at the end of the Shakhtar Real game. But man, Sevilla was really taking the dark arts very seriously in the second half against Dortmund. They were just, every argument they had with the ref took, it seemed like 7 minutes. Every foul, they'd like just lay on the guy. They were really
they have like little
trying
book
to get out of there with
like
a point.
Simone's Guide to Shithousery.
Oh yeah,
like, page 6. Like just lay down.
They
on the
had
ground.
earbuds in with that audiobook coming in. Then, if that was the case, because they just every single time you saw like a forward player get the ball, you knew that bad things were going to happen to them, and it just
Speaking of bad things happening to you, I mean, dude, that looked brutal. Like just brutal. Like I haven't seen blood squirting like that in a while on a soccer player. Like it wasn't even like I mean, he just got knocked out. I mean, he looked like an NFL, like a slot receiver going up to middle and just getting, but no helmet, no padding, nothing. He just got clobbered and still got the goal. I mean, Shakhtar I almost feel like it was one of those deals where Shakhtar kind of like is trying to hang on for dear life and stopped being brave that they were earlier. And when you do that, I mean, it's freaking Real. They eventually find a way. I mean, it was like a last gasp thing, but they get the goal. but I mean, Jesus Christ, dude! I don't know if you saw it afterwards or during the game, but I
Oh,
saw
yeah,
it during the game. It didn't look that bad initially, but then when you see the blood and then you see it in like slow motion, it was just like, holy shit!
Yeah, because initially I just saw like the clip of the goal that was online, and I'm like, okay, because you've seen it a million times. You've seen the goalie come out and just mistime it, and
Yep.
then there's a collision, and somebody I knew had put like wrestling commentary of Goldberg spearing somebody to the guy coming out. And I thought that was pretty entertaining, but when you see the clip afterwards from like the angles, and then you see the picture of their heads just kind of meshing together like a car crash, and you're going, oh, ugh. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, of course, you see Rudiger's face getting turned into like Frankenstein with all the stitches. You're just going, all right,
I mean, those
that was a lot
goalie
worse than I imagined.
punches can be like, I have never taken one, thank God, in the front of the face like Rudiger did. I've taken a couple on the back, which probably explains a lot, by the way. But I've taken a couple of those like in the back where you're going for the header and he just comes with the punch and he just gets the back of your head at the same time. Even that kind of wobbles you a little bit. And mind you, I wasn't playing with like professional goalies. So I can only imagine getting like in the face. Yeah, that looked brutal. But hey, got his goal and got 20 free stitches to go with it. That'll be a memory he will share forever. I haven't seen any photos or anything like afterwards, but I mean, can't be pretty. So right back. I'm actually keeping my phone line open just in case Southgate calls me as well, because from being the riches of having, man, England has so many right backs. Within like a week, 3 of them get injured. And the odd thing is, I know how bad Reece James' injury is. It definitely did not look good. But then again, neither did. But I mean, Trance didn't look good when you saw it happen, but then he kept playing and stuff like that. So you're like, okay, maybe it's not that bad. I mean, this one obviously looked a lot worse.
Yeah.
So out of all those guys, apart from like Trippier's left, and if I'm Trippier, I would take the weekend off and not play for Newcastle this week. I'm like, dude, have you guys seen the shit that's happening to right backs? I'm not going out there. There's like a serial killer for right backs right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, apart from Trippier, it looks like Trance would be the first one back out of that bunch. So where does that leave Southgate now?
Well, I think right now Southgate is just getting his kind of like final destination wish. He wanted Trippier from the start, and now all the people that people were bitching at him to use instead are all out. So it's like, no, I'm right. I picked the only guy who's healthy. So I'm smart and you're dumb. And yeah, but if I was Trippier, I wouldn't drive behind any big logging trucks or go on any roller coasters. I would steer clear of anything. Yeah, it is the spooky season. Go, Kieran. Somebody get this clip to him, please. Do not any of these things. Go watch the Final Destination movies and learn what not to do over the next few weeks before the World Cup. Just save yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw the red card on that Milan game. There was a lot of calls yesterday, a lot of VAR action. I was like, oh, God, here we go. VAR all over the place after talking about it like on Monday's podcast in the morning and stuff like that. And I'm like, more VAR, please make it stop. And that I thought was a bullshit red card. That changed the entire game, really. Until then, it was kind of more even, and it changes the entire game. What do you make of the red card? And if you saw the incidents? And then, I mean, obviously Chelsea wins again, so they're kind of like in the clear over there in that group now. And it's shocking how bad Milan has been against Chelsea, because this was like kind of like they had to get at least something out of this game. But then again, that red card was a bit too harsh.
Yeah, I think it was kind of sort of like the Gomez one where they were trying to just, and it's one of those things always you have to, when you're trying to determine the last man, where who if is the guy close enough that could come over and close down. There's a lot of stuff that you have to take into it that I think a lot of these referees just don't care about. That they could really, if they put some nuance into it, and just go, hey, maybe we just give them the benefit of the doubt that this guy could have made it over there and potentially closed it down. Yes, it's a bad foul in a bad spot, and it wasn't necessary to like just play it off and go, all right, Tamori, you stand up, you're good. But yeah,
I thought it would be like a yellow. I
unless
didn't
it's like
think it was going to be a
super
red.
blatant. I think those types of reds don't take any of the situation into account, and they're kind of grubby.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, the inconsistencies, and it's almost worse when you go to
the inconsistency.
The Champions League is totally different now too than the Premier League. Like all the standards have changed, and I think overall, I like the Champions League concept more in terms of like the standards they set. But it was just, and it turned the game around. I mean, like I say, like from that moment on, you did not see Milan coming back at any given time. They had some chances and stuff like that, but really, it could have been a lot worse for Milan too. But they do lose Reece James in the process. I'm not sure for how long. I did not see any headlines for that. But and then we covered Zagreb's, and then the Celtics 0, Leipzig 2. How are you feeling for today? We'll have the pre-match once the lineup comes out. So
yeah,
I figure we already speculate. I don't want to even speculate, but I have to mention this. And anybody who follows American Scouser and the podcast knows Ox is back, baby. He's back in practice. So I'm just going to leave it there. If you know me, you know me. But Ox is back. You got to be excited for that. Anyway, but like, how are you feeling? Like, how is the mood going into this Wednesday here?
I'm feeling fairly confident, and we'll see how that turns out at about 5 o'clock my time. It's basically whether or not there's that knee-jerk reaction just to go back to a 4-3-3 for Klopp. That's the thing that I think a lot of us are looking at more. Sorry. There we go. Are looking at more than anything.
This is what happens when you don't have beer in the morning, man.
See? Yeah, I know. I should just keep that as a routine. And yeah, great for potential employers. Yeah, just start ripping suds at 9 a.m. like a functioning human being. Yeah. So yeah.
Ox back, not for long, says Alan. You know what? Shame
the beacon
on you.
of optimism.
How dare you?
The beacon of optimism over here. But I think if whatever formation they run out, I think it's going to determine who is kind of part of the upfront portion of things. I think if he goes 4-3-3, he's going to have to just have Fabinho in the midfield, just because I think Thiago needs a break in the worst way, both physically and mentally, because of just. And you guys talked about the Arsenal game, that one goal that one just run a play that led to the penalty. I think Thiago made every mistake known to man for a midfielder, with not being able to clear the ball, trying to pass the ball backwards with 3 opposition players in between, and then, albeit soft, giving up the penalty. He had probably the worst 30 seconds of his Liverpool career in that game, and I think he just needs a break.
Yeah, I mean, and here's another thing I feel like for him, like I was saying, I think it was like yesterday or maybe it was on the pod, like, you know, kind of like Matip situation where you don't want to push your luck and keep trotting him out there. That's what we did with Matip. And eventually, thank God Konate is back in action. But obviously now you lose Matip for a couple of weeks because that's bound to happen. And I feel the same way about Thiago. If you keep trotting him out there, this is what's going to happen. Like, you know, Friday, this is what you're going to read about. He has a thigh issue and he's going to be out until after the World Cup. I mean, at this moment, any kind of a muscle situation, you're pretty much out till the World Cup for most part, because, you know, by the time you get back to practice, once it heals, you get back to practice, get back in game shape, you know, you're pretty much games are done. We'll see you after the World Cup kind of thing. But so it's going to be, I'm cautiously optimistic. But I know even if we get like a ridiculously great result, I'm not going to be like, finally, we're done with the bad period. I'm just still going to be, because I think partially I'm optimistic due to the opposition and the level of opposition we're going to face. But there are some things that I would like to see that would help me say, okay, things are going to get better. Like if Nunez plays, getting Nunez a goal or two would be a nice ordeal, or at least being able to make use of him more, take advantage of those runs that he makes and stuff like that. If Gomez plays right back, or maybe if Ramsey plays right back, you know, how they perform, if they have a good game, those are like little things that I might take with me in the optimism train. But everything else, I'm just still going to be like, okay, well, you know, at least we keep going in the Champions League kind of thing. But I'm optimistic. I think we're going to be good. Well, Trevor, so we'll be back before the game once the lineups come out. Hopefully, we'll get some of the other boys on here as well, talk about the game, and then watch the game, and hopefully watch a win today. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you guys at the pre-match show. Take care.